Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Luna and I'm thrilled to have you here for today's video. But before we dive in, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future videos. Now, let's jump right into it. If you've mastered the library and developed model tools in Lightroom, it's time to dive into the essential tools for organizing your photographic masterpieces. In this video, we'll explore the basic yet powerful features that Lightroom offers for efficient photo management. How to organize your photos in Lightroom. Now that you know the layout of Lightroom's library and develop modules, I'll cover the various tools at your disposal when you're trying to organize your images. The first feature is stars. Like most photo organization software, Lightroom lets you rate your photos by giving them a star label. You can give a photo a rating from 1 to 5 stars, or you can leave it unrated. Okay, the easiest way to do this is just to click the number on your keyboard corresponding to the stars you want to give. Technically, you can do the same by going to Photo menu as set rating any 5-star, but that's way more complicated than necessary. Next one is flags. Flags are just like stars, but without as many options. You can flag a photo as a pick, one that you like, or flag a photo as a reject. And of course, you can also leave a photo unflagged. Personally, I use the flag options quite often. When I'm loading photos and I think that I want to delete an image, I flag it as a reject. Then later, I look through all my rejects and decide if any of them are worth keeping. Now to flag a photo as a pick, click P. To flag it as a reject, click X instead. Next one is color labels. Another way to group your photos is to give them a color label. This doesn't actually do anything to the photos themselves. There's no behind the scenes thing you can do with photos of a certain color label that you can't do with others. Like stars or flags, it's just an additional way to give yourself a grouping that is easy to recognize later on. Personally, for example, I tend to assign a red color label to a group of photos that I'm eventually planning to merge into a panorama. It just makes them easier to recognize later on. Other photographers will label photos that they want to look through together at a later time. For example, giving a blue label to all the wedding photos that include the bride. This just depends upon your own style of photography. There is no right or wrong way to use labels in Lightroom. So to give a photo a color label, press 6, 7, 8, or 9 on your keyboard. Next one is keywords. If you want any easy way to find your photos later, consider giving them keywords. This is exactly what it sounds like. You simply label your photos with a few useful terms that will help you find them at some point in the future. To give a photo a keyword, you need to be in the library module. On the right-hand pop-out tab, you'll see an option called keywording. Click on it and type whatever keywords apply to a particular photo separated by a comma. Personally, I don't use keywords much as a wildlife photographer, but I know event and wedding photographers who find them invaluable. Whether or not you use them in the long run, it's worth getting a feel for keywords and seeing if they might be valuable for your work. Using the filter bar to find your photos later. Each time that you label a photo, you're making it easier for your future self to find it again. The main tool that you'll use to find your old photos is called the filter bar. The filter bar lets you sort your photos by almost any characteristic: star rating, color label, camera lens, aperture setting, file type, and many more. As I mentioned earlier, the filter bar is a thin gray bar near the top of your screen. If you don't see it in the grid view, click the / button on your keyboard or go to View Menu Show, Filter Bar in the top menu. If you know how to use the filter bar in Lightroom, you should be able to find any photo that you're missing. It's a great tool to have at your disposal. Adding photos to collections. My single favorite thing about Lightroom is the ability to add photos to collections. What are Lightroom collections? Essentially, collections are similar to the file structure of the photos on your computer, except that they only exist in Lightroom, and you can add a single photo to as many collections as you want without a problem. But here's an example. Say that one of my photos is stored on my computer's hard drive, but say that I also want that photo stored in a folder called kangaroos, in a folder called wildlife. In the file structure on my computer, I'd need to duplicate the same image several times, taking up a lot of room on my hard drive. Plus, anytime that I edited one of the photos, the other copies would remain unchanged. This is a clear problem that Lightroom's collections fix. Now, I can have photos stored on my hard drive, which will show up at the left-hand sidebar in Lightroom's library module, but at the same time, I can add it to a wildlife collection and a kangaroos collection this way. Its actual file location remains unchanged, and I don't end up duplicating the original photo at all. Virtual copies. What happens if you want to edit one photo in multiple ways? Say, for example, that you like an image in both color and black and white. How do you keep two separate versions of the photo? It's actually quite easy. Create a virtual copy. Lightroom's virtual copies are exactly like duplicating a photo on your hard drive, except that it only happens in Lightroom and it doesn't double the amount of space taken up. Using virtual copies are very useful ways to keep a variety of edits of the same photo without any significant storage penalties. However, be wary of keeping several different virtual copies of your photo just because it's easy to have your virtual copies get out of hand, where you don't know which one of them is actually the most up to date. Personally, I only try to create virtual copies when I need to keep a version of the photo that is vastly different from my original, and I won't get confused between the two. With that one caution, virtual copies are a very useful tool. I end up using virtual copies relatively often, particularly for my main portfolio images. It's a quick way to keep multiple edits of your most used shots. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and hit subscribe for more Lightroom tutorial. Until next time, keep creating and capturing those amazing moments. I hope to see you in the next video.